story. My lady story. My lady story. My lady story.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody on the call. Thank you so much for sparing time to be here. You are most welcome. Where two or three are gathered, business can start. So we have 30 people on the call, and I think that we can really get rolling. More people will join in as we go along. I'd like to welcome you all. My name is Lydia Mirembe. I'll be your moderator this morning, and I work here at Ubra. I'm the manager, corporate and public affairs. Um, so, welcome once again. This is our monthly webinar. At Ubra, we organize monthly webinars to discuss many things, many issues concerning planning and saving for retirement. And this time around, we want to focus on the women. Of course, it's mostly because women, not only do they take a special position in our society, but they also have unique challenges. And it's important for all of us to appreciate those challenges and jointly address them so that we put women in the position where they ought to be, not just as young women, but also as old women in retirement. So it's a pleasure to host you this morning. Um, I'll just put my camera. I want you to be very sure that you're not dealing with some bot. That is me. Um, the light in the background may not really give you an accurate representation of who I am, but just be sure you're talking to a real human being and not some robot with a Ugandan accent. Um, So this morning, again, as you're all aware, it's March, it's the Women's Month. That's why we are focusing on the women. How can we ensure that they plan very well for their retirement? UBRA has organized this, and as you know, UBRA is the regulator, the retirement benefits sector. We are the ones that set standards, we're the ones that guide the management, the operations of all retirement schemes in the country. And we think that it's important for us to go regularly into the issues that surround retirement planning and saving. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my speakers this morning. We have a panel of eminent um, women that are highly experienced in their respective professions, but especially they have this incredible knowledge, deep knowledge about retirement planning because of the things that they have done regarding retirement and the things that they have lived regarding retirement. Our guest, chief guest this morning is Miss Jennifer Nyakwera. Her camera is on. Jennifer is a certified change management specialist with over 15 years of experience in the field. She dedicated her whole life of work to URA. She worked at Uganda Revenue Authority for 16 years, and after that, she voluntarily retired to pursue self-employment. Currently, she's the managing partner at D&G Consulting, a management consultancy firm, and she also serves as a director consultant in charge of mentorship um, at BNI Uganda. BNI is Business Network International. She's a certified trainer in the International Finance Corporation, Stroke World Bank. She has consulted for many organizations. World Bank, MTN Uganda, American Tower Corporation, Ministry of Local Government, among many others. She's also a Rotarian. Why did we invite Jenny? It's because of that point of how does a woman wake up one morning and decide 16 years is enough? I am opting for early retirement. I am opting for self employment. How does a woman give up a regular monthly check? What does it take? What does it mean? What kind of courage? And how can women be inspired by her story? Daisy Linda Nabakoza is Chief Manager, Supervision and Market Conduct, and an enrolled advocate in Uganda, and a member of the Law Society, a member of Uganda Law Society, the one that's banging tables nowadays. That's a joke. She's also a member of East African Law Society and a member of the International Pensions and Employee Benefits Lawyers Association. Nobody is better suited than a lawyer with that background to speak to us about retirement planning for women. Daisy is a certified project management professional from the Project Management Institute, USA, a certified transformational coach, a certified trustee and trainer of trainers with a trustee training and certification program in Uganda. More than anything, as a woman, she is an alumna of the Female Future program. Welcome, Daisy. We have Anne Jagenda. Annette Jagenda is also one of our experts in the sector. She works here at UBRA as the senior supervision officer in the Directorate of Supervision and Market Conduct. Anne does a lot of voluntary work with several NGOs. She's a mother, she's an author, and she's one of our most outstanding performers in the retirement benefits sector. She understands these things deeply. And you're most welcome. So, friends, will not take a lot more time beyond the introductions. We believe that we're good to go now, and we should start our discussion as we get more people joining in as and when they're able to. We have a poll running. It helps us to know who we are talking to, and how we should craft our topics and tailor them usually to the very specific needs of people in those categories. So feel free, please, to take the poll. We're going to have a panel discussion, an online panel discussion this morning. We shall be reflecting on different questions, and those eminent ladies that I just introduced will be sharing their insights and reflections, and we shall also have moments of Q&A. Please feel free to raise your hand or to post your question in the chat. For purposes of setting our context, giving context to our discussion, I'll start with Daisy. And Daisy, I invite you to give us, a brief overview, a brief explanation. Why should women take keen interest in their retirement? Why should they be really personally interested in their retirement planning, retirement journey? And at what point in life should they really pique interest in these affairs? Daisy.
Good morning, ladies and the gentlemen that have joined us this morning. Thank you, Lydia, for that very outstanding introduction. Makes me feel really proud of some of the things I have been able to do. And of course, the backs of the many women that have supported me, and which is, I think, something that many of us speak of. So really to get into the discussion this morning about retirement saving for women in particular, not that men don't save and it's not important for men to save, but I think as Lydia clearly introduced, there's work for us women to do. As we'll discuss, you see that sometimes women are at a disadvantage, but also women tend to leave a lot to chance. So the earlier it's planned, the better. And the major reasons that you need to have retirement saving for women, just this International Women's Day this year, the theme really was founded on accelerating action. And it's that time when women really need to pick themselves up. Financial independence being one key aspect. And that financial independence does not stop at the time when we're working. Even when we retire, we need to ensure that we have proper financial independence, the ability to support yourself, support your life, and not have to depend on family or spouse, children, is one key aspect as to why women really need to save for retirement. But also when you look at the world where we're living, there's that need to have economic empowerment for women. A woman should have that sense of dignity, that's, stand in society and feel that confidence. And sometimes the weight of your pocket, the quality of your retirement saving plays a big factor in how well you present yourself out there. So that economic empowerment is just to allow us to have that sense of dignity as women, and also have a great impact on society in our, feminine and in our cluster really as women. Statistics also show that women are living longer than men, either because we work too hard or we take care of ourselves. You find that women are living longer. But what that means is that also you're going to be exposed to a longer period of dealing with the challenges of retirement, like sickness, taking care of homes. We now have a lot of female-led households, and there's that need for women to actually have that financial empowerment for them to be able to take care of themselves in that long lifespan, but also take care of their families. And I think that those are some of the things that really should drive us women to start planning for retirement. And lastly, really for our consideration, statistics also show that there's a high income disparity between men and women.
You're seated on this thing, then you put like a paper or a piece of cloth.
Lily, please help me mute
You
the
get-
speaker.
Because I'm seeing blue is all over like a thing. Blue
Sorry,
and
there's someone in the background who is speaking. If you could mute yourself. So I was talking about the income disparity and earning gaps that are, evident in our societies, especially the African society, where women are already at a disadvantage. You're taking time out of work to take care of children, to take care of young families, but also the challenges that come with our earning, gaps between men and women that have been documented statistically also require then that you need to start doing it for yourself. Start planning for your retirement yourself, because there's no guarantee that the income that we have will sustain us, in old age. So that planning is something that is really key in giving us that, empowerment, but also accelerating the action for women, really. And we need to take that bold step ourselves. Yeah. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, Daisy. Yes, that pretty much sets us off there. So we always start off on a disadvantaged note. And yeah, it's really up to us to pull ourselves out of this and bring ourselves to a point where we are at the same level as everybody else. You've enumerated some of the disadvantages that come naturally from our culture, but also from our professional lives and contexts within which we operate. But there's something about myths around women's retirement, women's saving. People tend to say so many things. They tend to either console themselves or lie to themselves or kwesudia, as they say in Uganda. But let me invite Anne. And Anne, as again we continue to build this context, before we get to hear from this bold woman called Jennifer, what are the common myths around women's retirement planning and saving? What are those little things that we keep telling ourselves when we have not even proven them? Anne, over to you. Annette? Okay.
Hello, hear me now?
Yes, Annette, we hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Thank you once again for this opportunity and for organizing this for women. And I know some men are also interested, which is a very good thing. So according to the internet, they try to define a myth as a widely held but false belief or idea. So if we could just take a minute for that to sink so that we are all at the same page. Yeah. So of course there are several myths, including the belief that women lack the capacity to save, or they save less, or they overly rely on their children or spouses. But to expound on one or two is the myth that women save less than men. Of course, when you look at the statistics, more females, like 15% compared to the 11% were unemployed. The women were more regarding unemployment in 2024. Men were earning more, 250 compared to 140 for the women. This is in 2021. So despite that, okay, because of the auto enrollment, most employees, regardless of gender, you are now, by default, you are part of the savings scheme, same rate. Okay, if I bring it to the corporate woman who has access or who has the chance to save with the NSSF, to save with the public service pension scheme, to save with the occupational scheme. So the rates are the same. It actually takes away that myth that women are what? Women can't save. So further, when we did the analysis of the authorities' data, it shows that while there are generally fewer women participating in these retirement schemes compared to men, women tend to save more on a personal basis. So this suggests that women, even in smaller numbers, are making significant contributions to their retirement savings. So often outpacing men in terms of average savings per individual. There's a scheme we're looking at, and it had about 400 men and less than 50 women, but the women had a fund value which was more than what the 400 men were saving. This was so amazing. So that is, in other words, when given a way to save, women can overcome formidable obstacles, even lower incomes. I'll talk about another myth, which is, of course, women relying on spouses for retirement planning. This is especially for the ones that are married. So there's often that assumption to depend on their spouses or partners to handle the retirement planning and investments. But the reality now is, while this may have been more common in the past, right? Women today are actively involved in managing their own finances. And we have divorce, we have widowhood. So these also make it essential for a woman to take control of their retirement planning independently. So it also counters the myth of women relying on their husbands, on their partners for retirement planning. And lastly, the one that I want to, of course, there are many, but I'm just focusing on these three. One that we are all familiar with is the children who take care of their parents during retirement. I remember I had an article on this, and this, of course, the concept of children being the retirement package for their parents is deeply ingrained in the many cultures across the globe. So it's a belief that parents, you're investing in your children's education, welfare, health, taking care of them. So when they grow, and of course you now can't work, you're old, they return the favor. But due to the cultural shifts, younger generations their priorities are a bit different. They're a bit different. Their career aspirations are a bit different from how we grew up, as in go to school, get a degree, look for a job. These days, after a degree, they're in their pajamas, but they are working in their pajamas. So they are global, they are all over they're all over the world. So they are not going to be there to actually care for mom. The best they can do is get you a nurse. That's what I always tell my friends. They'll get you a nurse to take care of you, but you're not going to tie them down. Things have really changed. So it's crucial to recognize that the children alone should not be your sole retirement package. So relying entirely on your children for financial support in old age, it's a risk venture that we have to change this mindset, both for men and women. This has to change. And of course, let's consider saving and investment and planning for our retirement when it's still early, manage your expenses and healthcare planning. I submit to Lydia.
Great. Thank you so much, Anne. So there we are. We start off with disadvantages, documented and undocumented, but also we start off with myths. We start off with lies or unproven beliefs that have been perpetuated for generations. They have been thrown around. Women can't do this. Women can't do this. Women can't do the other. When a woman retires, she dies. There are just too many. But in our midst, we have one woman who retired, and she is happily retired from the formal 8 to 5 setting. She's leading a very good life as a self-employed retiree. Jennifer, tell us about this. There are many women who would like to embark on retirement, but they're held back by those disadvantages and those myths. From your experience, tell us, what is it that can encourage or bring a woman out and say it is time and it is good? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Lydia, and thank you very much for those who have joined in. I never knew when I was making that decision so many years ago. That is actually, I'll make 9 years since I left Uganda Revenue Authority to embark on things that made me happy, that I'll be sitting here and talking to other women on what can be done. So in BNI, I've also learned that it's good to always use stories, because usually stories sell and facts tell. So imagine a woman in her early 40s, let's call her Sarah. She has worked diligently for nearly 20 years, juggling career, family, and personal aspirations. One day she dreams of retiring early to pursue her passion. Maybe a small farm, mentoring young women, or simply just traveling around the world. But then something will always hold her back. She worries about financial security, healthcare, and whether her savings will last. So many women really share Sarah's dilemma, and they desire to retire early, but are held back. So you're going to find many women who are going through certain things at the workplace, toxic environment. They are looking at the pay, it's not making sense, but then something is holding them back. They cannot take the bold decision to say, let me go. So what are some of the things that hold women back from taking that bold decision? I will not lie to you and say I just woke up one morning and said, no, I will go. I pushed my leaving date, my date of departure 5 times because of some of the issues that I'm actually going to talk about. One of them is financial unpreparedness, or even call it insecurity. Many of us actually, when we get into a job, we assume that we have time, but then we wake up too early. So you get a job at 20 years, 23, 24, 40 seems so far away. Actually, it seems like centuries away. I was one of those people. I got a job, and if you told me retire at 40, I would almost think like this is 100 years from now. So those are some of the things. We don't prepare early because we always think we have time. And then tomorrow you wake up and you're 38 and you're facing 40, or maybe you're 45 and you're facing into the abyss. You're almost 50 and you're also wondering, where did the time go? So usually that is one of the things that actually holds us back from letting go. You're also looking at the lifestyle you've been living. Let's say now I'm not talking about the corporate ladies. You've been living a certain lifestyle. You're used to going to a certain gym, cafe javas. Your children are used to a certain lifestyle. So you're asking yourself, if I leave the comfort of my job, will what I have put aside be able to maintain or sustain that lifestyle? Then secondly, of course, is the loss of identity. So I worked for URA for 16 years. And then when, usually I say the day I left or the week I left, my phone went silent. I had no one calling on me. I had no one looking for me. So that is such a scary part. And I also have friends who are also saying, who will check on me? Who is that person who will look for me? So what kind of defines us for decades? And then there's that worry about, What next? Where do I even start from? And then also because most times you don't have so many people who have done that same thing, you don't even have kind of a benchmark. Like personally, I didn't really have so many benchmarks to use to say, okay, now it's okay for me to leave. Then of course, family responsibilities, like I think Anne and Daisy talked about, we are the primary caregivers. Women often prioritize others over their own financial well-being. So what does that mean? Instead of putting away a little something for their retirement, most times that you find that we first focus on taking care of our relatives, our in-laws, our children, and everyone else around us, and we put ourselves last. So by the time you think about taking that bold step, it's already too late for you, or you actually get worried, you get scared, and then you decide not to do it. Yes, that's one of them. Then fourth is fear of the unknown, and then the social disconnect. Now, transitioning from earning to withdrawing is daunting. Earning means that every month I expect a check. Now, once you get into retirement, it means that you're now going to have to start withdrawing from that money or whatever you've actually kept for yourself. Now, one of the reasons why you'll find some women fearing to let go is they fear that uncertainty. What will happen? Where will I go? Who will I talk to? What will I do if the nest egg I have does not take me to places that I thought I would go? Then, of course, there's the fear of losing your network, your routine, and relevance. So, for example, if you're a manager or an executive, we are so used to being called Madam, Mrs., so you start wondering what will happen, when you lose that relevance. You go home, and literally now you have to get into your gumboots and then get into your farm and actually start working. So some of those things actually keep women glued into their spaces. Now, what are some of the key steps for a seamless transition? And these are also, I am using these because these are some of the things that help me. Start planning early. And then when I say early, someone will say, I'm already 40, I'm already 45. Early means today. When you're 45, when you're 40, when you're 38, when you're 25, early means today. So one of the things you need to start doing, or women need to start doing, is start visualizing retirement early. I think it also comes from our background that we never think about retiring. But it's important to start visualizing retirement early and create a well thought out financial roadmap. This could include savings, investments, and of course, passive income sources. So as you're earning that comfortable paycheck, what are you using it for? What are you using some of the money for in terms of your retirement? So what lifestyle do you want when you retire? Start thinking about it. What financial gaps exist between the lifestyle you have now and the kind of lifestyle you'd like to retire to? Then, of course, invest strategically. I know most of us in the corporate world, we contribute to National Social Security Fund, but also consider other investments like long-term investments. If you can't afford to do rental property, please go ahead and start small and put some of that money into rental property or other passive income schemes. Join circles, join groups. The thing is, put something away. Just keep putting something away. Even 10,000 today, 5 years from now, that will be a lot of money. All right. So then, of course, it's important for the women to create a financial exit strategy. Personally, I work with a financial planner who took me through my lifestyle and the lifestyle I wanted to live, and then the gap. So that's why I said I actually kept on pushing my exit date, because when I looked at where I wanted to be and where I was at that moment, I knew I needed to put in a few more years before I can actually reach my goal. And then the other thing is test the retirement before you leave. I would not encourage someone to wake up one morning and say, I want to leave now. Test it. So what are you doing during your leave days? What are you doing over the weekend? If you want to be a consultant, for example, start doing some pro bono work in the consulting world, right? If you want to go into farming, start putting something up and start actually taking care of it as if it actually means something. If it's a business, philanthropy, whatever it is better to transition gradually because it will help you reduce the shock of waking up and no one is calling you and you have nothing. But most importantly, build a strong support system. Now, retirement isn't just about money. It's about having a fulfilling life. Cultivate meaningful relationships and network outside the workplace. Like they told you, I am a Rotarian. So through my journey of preparing to exit, I joined Rotary. And then, of course, I started doing most of the pro bono work there, which was setting me up for consultancy. And then, of course, I was blessed enough or lucky enough to meet someone who introduced me to BNI, Business Network International. The day I went in, now I put the plan in action for me to leave. So it's very, very important for you to build a network around you. And of course, most importantly, lastly, prioritize your health and wellness. So a well-planned retirement is pointless if medical costs are going to drain your savings. Invest in your health now, and it starts now. Prepare an insurance policy. For example, if you leave your job, well, who is going to take care of your insurance policy? So please start preparing now. So basically, lastly, is that the key is to retiring to something, not just from something. And of course, I would like to say that retirement isn't the end. It's actually a transition to a new self-directed phase of life. And the earlier you start, the smoother the journey will be. Thank you very much, Lydia. Back to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. That's very inspiring, ladies. It can happen, and it has happened. And Jennifer here is the embodiment of I can say seamless transition from formal employment, early retirement to, just getting into a new life where you're not just sitting and waiting 8 to 5 regular paycheck. And it seems to be doing nice things to her. but I'm also aware that this cannot happen, too smoothly. Life is not a straight line. Life is not a straight line, and we always make one or two mistakes from which we learn. And I believe that for you to be able to tell this story, you have learned a few things, and those lessons have probably come from one or two mistakes. So tell us, what are some of the mistakes? What are some of the mistakes that you made or that other people are likely to make, and maybe how we can avoid them? Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Lydia. Again, I use stories because I have now a number of friends of mine who are taking the bold step to leave. So Agnes, a 55-year-old high-achieving executive, has worked tirelessly for about 30 years. She always assumed her salary and employer's pension was enough until she retired and realized her lifestyle was unsustainable. You know those things that we do, want to pay for the gym at Serena, because the salary, yes, can do that. Then of course she starts panicking. So she realizes actually she made some critical mistakes along the way. So one of the things I said initially is you need to plan your exit. It's not good for you to just take that leap of faith and you hope that someone is going to catch you. Teri agenda kuyama, government agenda kuyama, that's the truth. So these are some of the mistakes that as I was engaging, that probably some I made myself, but also some that when I'm engaging with some of my friends, these are some of the common mistakes that I see. Now, one of them, the most critical one, is delaying retirement planning. So many women wait until their 40s or 50s to start thinking about retirement. But I think it also comes from our culture. So when we were young, we thought a person retires at 50, at 60. But I think also because we're looking at public service then. So that means you're kind of comfortable when you're 28 or 30 because you're thinking 50 is very far. So then you delay to plan for your retirement. Now, retirement planning should start the moment you earn your first paycheck. I always tell of a story when we were in our orientation and Mrs. Allen Kajina walked in and her first words were, this was our first day at URA. And she told us, prepare to leave. So imagine you've just gone to a job like URA and then someone is telling you to prepare to leave. Yet for us, we had come in, our families were like, this is it. This is the end of life. I mean, you've hit the jackpot. So then she tells you to prepare to leave. I think I'm blessed that I didn't take that lightly. Actually, I started my retirement strategy then because I talked to her, I engaged her, and she actually explained to me what she meant, that start planning to leave this employment. So what did that mean? That I now started thinking, when do I want to leave? One of the things actually I did within my first year of being at URA was set my exit date. I didn't really set a date per se, but I said, I do not want to make 40 at URA being employed. Because I also know myself, I love doing certain things, and you find that when you're in corporate world, you need to play by the book. Then I'm like, sometimes I want to innovate, to be creative. So you telling me to play by the book sometimes might not help. So I said, then let me make sure before I am 40, I will actually leave. So what did that mean? It meant that I needed to put some things in place. And also the other common mistake is over-reliance on spouses. So many of us assume that our spouses' pensions or family wealth will cover us. But the thing is, life is unpredictable. There's divorce, there's death, there's financial mismanagement. There's so many things that can happen. Take, for example, COVID came through and so many people lost their livelihood. So relying on your spouse is no longer the in thing. Once upon a time, yes, that was a thing, but now anything can happen. So what happens to you? For example, if you thought your spouse's family wealth would take care of you, and then there you go, you get divorced, or your spouse passes away, or you get into some financial problems, right? If you didn't plan and yet you decided to leave, that right there is a very, very big mistake. Then, of course, as women, most times because we are the caregivers, we end up dipping into our retirement savings prematurely. So I am a culprit of that. Before like I said saving early for my retirement. But what would happen is, if a calamity falls or if an emergency happens, what would happen is I would quickly run into my retirement fund and then pick money there to solve the emergencies. So that's why it's important to have a financial planner, because then you can also be able to have an emergency fund that you can use so that you don't deplete your retirement fund. Then, of course, one of the other things that I realized is, and this is also a mistake I made, while I was putting that money away, I was not considering inflation and healthcare costs. What do I mean? So as you're putting that money away, you put out a certain amount of money. But remember, as the years go by, there's inflation. Healthcare costs go up. So by the time you're putting it away year 1, by the time you come to year 10, the healthcare costs have doubled or even tripled. So it's important as you're putting in that money, as your salary increases, you also probably increase what you're putting away, knowing that there's inflation, and also things like healthcare costs actually are very, very real. Now, failing to upskill for post-retirement is my last point. Now, failing to upskill for post-retirement income is one of the other biggest mistakes that we make. So women, the truth is women have skills. So the mistake we make is, for example, if I think about what I want to do, for example, if I want to be a farmer, what does that mean when I retire? It means that I should be upskilling in the farming industry. So who am I following on social media? What am I reading? Who am I hanging out with? That is the truth. Is if you start planning early, then that means even your network is going to change. So for example, because I wanted to get into consultancy, I started finding out what is required for someone to actually get a job, a gig, for example, with the World Bank. And then when I did such research, I discovered that, for example, you need an MBA. So what did I do is I immediately went and acquired my MBA. I said I wanted to go into change management. What did that need? I needed to be certified. So I started preparing myself, upskilling myself to be able to meet the expectations of my retirement. So it's very, very important. So whether it's consulting, whether it's coaching, whether it's running a small business, continuous learning is very, very key. So when you figure out what you want to do at retirement, please start, first of all, going and doing some pro bono work in that area. One, it builds your muscle. But then also, two, start learning what are the things that are needed for you to actually succeed where you're going to be. So, and really the solution is we must treat our retirement as a non-negotiable, right? So there are so many things that we take care of, but when it comes to us, we put ourselves last. So for me, I think that we must treat retirement as a non-negotiable life goal. If you wouldn't give away your salary today, please don't give away your future income through poor planning. And one of the lessons I learned is that women must think like investors, not just savers. When you're putting your money away for saving, think about it as an investment. So diversify your income, plan for rising expenses, and set firm boundaries when it comes to financial obligations, because this is your future. There's no one going to come and help you. And like I think Anne said, our children, unfortunately, might not be able to take care of us. So think like an investor, not just a saver. Don't put the money there and just go away. Put the money there, make sure it is earning income for you for that rainy day when you decide to let go. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Oh, brilliant. I could listen to your story over and over because every single word, is an eye opener. Some of us are still blessed. We're still on this side, the corporate setting. We're still earning our monthly paycheck. And we are still very sure that our employer is putting our NSSF and many other good benefits. But yeah, it really takes courage and above all, very serious planning to transition, to leave all of that behind. Because like Jennifer has said, that time must come. That time must come. So it better come and you take it up on your terms. But let me just now focus on the workplace because this is where it all starts. I know that many of us are in different areas of practice and occupations, some of them formal, some non formal. They take all shapes and sizes. But let's focus on the and the workplace because we have seen very many people becoming what they call the new poor. The new poor. She has been riding around in this fuel guzzler with wonderful personalized plates. And then when she clocks the age, everything goes away. Everything goes away. And it takes many people by shock and surprise. And we want the women on this call to have a different experience. But more than anything, in the workplace, the reality is there are so many conditions. There are so many conditions that women have to grapple with. I'm going to invite Anne to talk about the workplace. The several conditions that women must really, really focus on because they present to them unique challenges. And what are these unique situations that women must look out for, and how do they affect our retirement saving plans? How can they be addressed? What specific roles can we women in the workplace play to ensure that we make or we improve the experiences of fellow women? Over to you, Anne. And you can unmute.
Thank you, Lydia. And Jennifer, thank you for being a bold woman. I'm learning something. So regarding the women in the workplace, of course, they face a number of inequalities that could impact the earnings, the career progression, as already mentioned by the panelists, some of the panelists. I remember Daisy hinting on it and Jennifer, and ultimately their retirement savings. So you take an example of the career interruptions, where women spend more time on unpaid career or on care work. So actually the statistics say that they spend about 30 hours per week compared to 13 hours for men. So this limits their ability to engage in formal employment and then be able to accumulate what? Retirement savings. Of course, the gender wage gap. In Uganda, men earn an average of about 250 compared to the 140. 140 being for the women. This was research in 2021. So since the retirement contribution, especially when I'm talking to the corporate woman who has NSSF and has maybe an occupational scheme, are typically a percentage of the earnings. So this wage gap translates directly into a gender wealth gap at retirement. So the wage gap, like I said, has a long-term impact. There's also another research, I think it was the US, and the data showed that what begins as a 20% pay gap when you're at your 20, early in a woman's career, can widen to 44%. Okay, and of course, having a huge impact on what? On one's retirement package. So how does a woman take charge? One, we have to first understand, like Jennifer has actually pointed out most of the things I think we're going to talk about. I was thinking, I think we can close the webinar now. But maybe to stress that one is how long, the length of your retirement. How long will your savings need to sustain you in a retirement? If you're to take a retirement at 60 and you have another 30 years to live, as Daisy also hinted that women, actually statistics show that they outlive most of their either partners or men. So the 30 years, how much do you need? What's the length? You have to know, you have to appreciate the length of the retirement, then the investment risks and the returns. How much risk can you take to maintain a stable cash flow? These are questions as a woman that you have to ask yourself and answer honestly. The honest bit is very crucial. So of course, you, like Jennifer hinted, the impact of inflation, okay? How will the rising living cost affect your purchasing power? So what are the steps that a woman can take? One, like I said, assess your financial needs. Determine how much cash flow is required for a comfortable retirement. Like you can't, if your expenses in a month, let me say 5 million in retirement, how much do you want to, or how much can you afford to spend out of employment? Okay. Review your potential incomes, the sources. If you include your NSSF, if you include your occupational pension scheme benefits, if you include whatever sources you have, how much do you have and how much can you live on in retirement? So consider the factors that may also affect this cash flow, because we can't be blinded and think that it's all going to be straight. We've talked about inflation, that has to be factored in. The other is to maximize the saving and investments. You start saving early, as some of the panelists have indicated. As soon as you get a job, start saving. But start saving now. If you haven't started, you can start now. It's still better than starting tomorrow. So start saving early and be consistent throughout your career. And take advantage of the retirement benefit schemes. We're in the sector of, we regulate the pension sector. And of course, there are examples of employers who are willing. They'll put a scheme, they'll establish a scheme and say, okay, if a member joins, I'll match. And you see, I don't know if it's because of ignorance, as in lack of information, someone won't join the scheme. That means you're losing out on the matching of the employer. So if you join and you're saving 5%, and the employer says, if you join, I'm matching 10%, you're losing 10% of your gross. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money if you compute it over the years. So let's try and take advantage of all these saving schemes that we can get into and start saving. Of course, diversify your investment portfolio to balance the risk and the growth potential. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to diversify. Don't say, okay, me, it's land. Land also has its stress that comes with this, that comes with the purchase of land and maintaining land. So there are other different avenues. I think as the discussion goes, those will also come out, as in where can I invest? Those are also they are available in the financial sector. So the other thing is the financial literacy. There's many free webinars talking about retirement, talking about investment. Take advantage of them as a woman. Take advantage of them. Even if, okay, also the men are on the men, I'm very sorry. I was speaking to the woman only, but take advantages of this. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and take advantage. They are free. Just log in an hour. You pick a thing or two. And for all the groups I'm part of, I was sending the advert and telling them, log in and learn a thing or two. We can't say that we know it all. So the financial literacy also helps you. If you have the information, you make better decisions for your life. Of course, the workplace benefits that I've already talked about, and of course, plan for healthcare and the family considerations. Like we all know that retirement is not just the financial aspect. You need the relations with your family, as in your spouse, your children, your neighbors, and it has to be a full package. Okay, so factor in the health cost as you plan, the medical expenses that tend to rise with age. Communicate with your children about your retirement plans while respecting their financial goals also. We've talked about this, parents. Let's not think that our children are going to be our retirement package. This is changing, it has changed. And for our generation, it's going to be different. We have to plan for our retirement. If our child is, I think it will be out of their courtesy to say, okay, mommy, let me do ABCD, but you're not going to pin them down that is my retirement package. So let's have this at the back of our mind as we plan. Let's maintain good relations with our spouses, and yeah. So while these remain, women can overcome the financial obstacles really by planning, saving, investing wisely, and of course, taking control of the financial decisions today will create greater independence and security in the future. That's what I'm saying, that we start today.
Thank
I
you.
start
Thank you so very much, Annette. You've said it so aptly, but I like the point on not relying on our children. But also, I think some of us have seen that piece that's going around on social media 2 or 3 days ago about a woman who spent a lot of time in the workplace, failed to have a work-life balance. She had her master's, she had her PhD, and she was always busy. And she thought that she was all about giving the children money, money, money. And then she grew old and retired. And then when she had her 70th birthday or something, she tried to call her children. Now she's in retirement. She needs their company. They have all gone and they're living their lives. And when she calls them in to celebrate her birthday, one says, "Oh, mommy, I'm too busy. Oh, I have another engagement." And then it dawned on her that it's not all about focusing on the workplace and accumulating so much in retirement benefits and in many other savings. Also think about the social aspects of your retirement. Are you relating with your children well, especially those of us who think that children will be our retirement package? You must relate with them today. But thank you so much for those insights. I welcome in a special way the gentlemen on our call, Mr. Jude Lumala, Mr. Edward Kisambira, Walter. Thank you so much for joining in. Please take this message back to the women in your life and tell them, yes, women can do it, as Anne has assured us. I'm quickly going back to Daisy before we start the winding up of this session. Daisy, it's now about the context, the regulatory, legal, and supervisory context in which we operate. Because ultimately, we need an organized sector with standards and all. But particularly, this sector, under the supervision of UBRA, has seen exponential growth over the last 10 or so years. What products, what things, what conditions, what opportunities are there that women can take advantage of immediately? Thank you, Daisy.
Okay, Lydia, thanks, Jenny, and thank you for those submissions. Like Anne said, as I was listening to Jenny, I kept thinking, am I on the right track with my retirement plan? Do I need to redo it? Because it seems like I'm miles away from what Jenny is talking about. But anyway, planning is the most important thing. We start planning. So as a regulator under the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, we have, of course, a regulatory framework that provides some sort of standard for operating in our space. And this has also presented a number of products that, many of us are taking part in. Anne already talked about the corporate retirement benefit schemes that are within many of our employers and taking advantage of those. But, notably, as Anne already said, when you look at the additional contribution over and above what is mandated to be contributed, it's mainly the women who are contributing. So I think it's very durable. So there are those corporate retirement saving plans, and I encourage all of us, wherever you are, if your employer doesn't have one, kindly encourage them. If you need to reach out to UBRA, we'll come and we'll give you all the guidance and support to have one established in your corporate space. But beyond that, we also have what's called umbrella schemes, and many of them now incorporate individual saving plans. And in those individual saving plans, you and I can save as individuals. And indeed, what we have seen as a regulator is that for many people who belong to the corporate schemes, they also look out for that extra individual plan where they can save. And we encourage women to go in there. Basically, these are curated for the flexible needs of our individual. Outside the corporates, we usually have the regular monthly contribution, standard rates. In this case, for individuals of saving plans, they allow us to save as and when we are able to. We have those that are tailored for the informal sector. And in there, I think you saw the advert at the start, you can save as little as 1,000 shillings per day. I think most of them, their requirement is that you have at least 20,000 saved in a given month. So you can, work with that. In those individual saving plans, we now have products that many people are taking advantage of, and that is there are programmed withdrawals in there. For us, the structure of our sector has been greatly founded on provident funds, where I leave Uber tomorrow and I get my whole 1 billion shillings. I've never handled 1 billion shillings. Most likely, I'm going to fall prey to those mistakes that Jenny talked about. The problems at the village, you start digging into your pocket because you have never seen or handled 1 billion or 100 or 20 million shillings at once. So now these individual saving products are bringing in the programmed withdrawals where you put your 20 million that you've got from Ubra, or you put your 1 billion that you've got from URA, you put it in that fund and you agree with them on a modus of withdrawing. You could say, I'm going to withdraw quarterly a certain amount, or I'm going to withdraw half yearly a certain amount. In that case, they just continue investing for you so that it's no longer the 1 billion, but that fund keeps growing as you keep your money in there. That is the other product that we have. The other very good product, and Jenny hinted on this, when you get into retirement, especially for us women, given that we live longer, it means you have a longer time to deal with health issues. Hypertension kicks in, diabetes kicks in, because you are, of course, less mobile, you're not very active, maybe even the stress of family, many illnesses kicking in old age. So now these individual plans now have what is called the post-retirement medical product, in which case, because they're pulling together many people, they are able to negotiate with insurance companies a good rate for an insurance product, a medical insurance product. The advantage here is, especially those of us who are coming from the corporate space, many of these insurers already have a medical history and know that I can still insure Daisy at 600,000 a year because I know the trend at which she's been using a medical plan. And the advantage also is that you are pulling together with other people in that fund, which means that you're not bearing the cost alone. They give you a good rate because of the numbers. Those are some of the products that are there, which are really advantageous and many people are picking up on. The other product in our space, which has been picked up, not very big, but and especially women are picking this up, is the annuities product. It's a product provided by insurance companies, but negotiated under our retirement funds. So you could still get your money and then you negotiate with an insurer under your fund for you to be able to get an annuity. Annuities, in simple terms, are like the pensions. They're periodic payments, and they are structured in such a way that they are guaranteed over a period of time. You could say, I'm buying an annuity, a 15-year annuity, and that means they will guarantee your payments over a 15-year period. So those are some of the products that we have in there. But also the opportunities that we need to take advantage of, especially in our space. These schemes that I'm talking about, the individual saving plans, the program withdrawals, the post-retirement medical retirement funds are regulated, which means that you have an expert, a technical expert somewhere overseeing your fund without you having to lift a finger. So that framework already allows that you are getting a free service while earning in your fund. So you need to take advantage of that, especially for us women. I would encourage all of us to take advantage of those platforms because they present someone at Uber is sitting and monitoring your fund for you. What other service would you get that free in Uganda? So I think it's also that opportunity for us to use that. Then lastly, to highlight that the framework under UBRA, the regulatory framework, also provides for a complaints and redress framework, which means that should you get to a point where you feel you are underserved, you are not given the right product, what information you have received, do you want to verify what the information that you're receiving? There is a process and a framework already provided where someone provides a service for free. Again, we like free things, not so. So I think it's a good opportunity for us women to take advantage of those platforms and that are presented to us under the regulatory framework. Thank you, Lydia.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen on the call, the opportunities are there. And like Jenny has said, like all the speakers have emphasized this morning, today, now, it's never too late. If you have not already started, please start. It's never too late. Start with the little that you have and let it grow through investments. And be patient and wait for it to grow. I think many of us really have that joy when our schemes announce our interest and your interest, we realize, oh, the good things that patients can do. So let's start today. There are young ones, there are young ones in their 20s, there are old ones in their 40s and 50s. It's never too late. Let's start today. But I would like now to bring it to you, our listeners, our participants on the call. Let's have some questions, some comments. You know, is there a point, a key lesson that you have taken home? Is there something that you'd like the eminent ladies to talk about before we part company? Feel free now to share, drop it in the chat, and I'll read it out so that we all learn from each other. We are here to inspire each other. Some of us are there and we have something to say. Maybe there's a point that they have missed that they haven't said. Please raise it now. Then we shall start winding up in about 10 or so minutes. I have Peli Mogasi, who requests that can the ladies provide guidance to retired women who worked with the corporate world, retired women who worked with the corporate world. Can you give them guidance on how to manage their limited pension compared to their former salaries? I'll ask Jenny to take this first.
Thank you very much, Lydia and Perry. One of the things that I think it all starts from our mindset. We start with a mindset change. One, when we're living in the corporate world, we had a certain lifestyle. So the first thing, first of all, I would encourage anyone who's thinking about retirement, even if you're not thinking about it, just know one day the axe is going to fall and you're going to leave. The thing is mindset change. What that means is that you're going to literally strip away all the things that you were used to, the benefits. So you say it's small pension, but let me tell you, if you get a financial planner, or if you go to Ubra, for example, I had Daisy talking about this. Go to Ubra. They have a number of people who can actually sit with you and walk with you through the amount of money you have and what can actually be done. The first thing is, first of all, is to go and kind of reprioritize your lifestyle. What are some of the things you can actually strip away from your lifestyle? Certain things, I know one of the things you can do is, if you've been going to Serena Gym, you can also join now a group that is also walking, you know. If you are going to certain places, you know, you can actually scale down. So it's about you scaling down. Once you scale down and accept it, and also inform the people, your dependents. I think it's important to inform our dependents, but that now I'm no longer in the position I used to be able to give you what you used to want, including our children. I had a conversation with my children to say, I am not going to be earning a salary. I'm actually going to be making my own money, you know, like going out and hunting for it. So what that meant is that the things that you wanted before, where we could just wake up in the morning and go and eat ice cream and go to Cafe Javas, it's going to change, because there's also a bit of change management. You need to work with your family to change their perception. So it takes time. So you need having this conversation with your family. Immediately you start thinking about exiting, or immediately you exited and you need to make some changes. So I think for me, it's just important that, one, we change our mindset, we change the mindsets of the people who depend on us, and definitely get a financial planner. For me, I had a financial planner who helped me with the amount of money I was getting out, and also helped me to now reprioritize my lifestyle. Thank you very much, Lydia. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yes, it does. It does. Jenny, before you get off, somebody just summarize for Winnie Ngawire. Ngawire. She says, what does retirement look like for the self-employed? Just briefly.
that is actually a good one. I would like, right now, I retired from the corporate world, but I am fully active in my self-employment, or in this world. So when we are talking about retirement, I think the retirement right now that I was talking about was retiring from a place whereby someone managed me. managed my finances, made decisions for me, to a situation whereby now I make my own decisions. So I am not yet retired. I retired from the corporate world, but I am not retired now. But I'm also looking at a situation whereby some years from now, I would just want to go to the beach and sip some juice, and I'm not hustling, and my passive income is coming through. I get on a plane, fly to Ibiza, get on a boat cruise. That is the retirement I'm looking forward to. I retired from one stage of employment. I'm also hoping to retire from this stage whereby, let's say in my 60s and 70s, I don't want to be hustling. I don't want to be running around and, chasing gigs. I want to make sure, so I'm also preparing for this time. I'm putting everything in place to make sure when that time comes and I now officially retire, to where now I sit down, enjoy my fruits of my labor. I don't have to be calling on my son for them to be able to take me to hospital. I need to make sure that my insurance can take care of me. If I need to go somewhere, if my children decide to take me, it's not because they have to, it's because they want to. So basically right now I am not retired. I retired from the corporate world, but right now I am not retired. And for me, when I'm speaking to, for example, the ladies from BNI, these are business women, business ladies, the question I'll ask you is, how are you preparing for your retirement? You own your own business. But at some point, I am sure you want to get to a level where you're saying that, I don't have to go to office every day. I don't have to be the one attending meetings every day. So how does that look like for you? Can you start putting in place a plan to ensure when you're 60, 70, you're not attending, for example, BNI meetings. You only do it because you love to, but not because, it's going to keep the lights on. Have you prepared for your retirement? Or you're only going to BNI because of love and belonging, but it's not like it's a do or die. So even as in the self-employment world, we need to put mechanisms in place that will ensure when we are probably in our 70s, we can be able to enjoy our lives.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And we're really enjoying this discussion. Some more questions before I go to the hand of Hanifa Sengendo. There are two questions, and they're asking about investment vehicles available, especially for new earners and for non-corporate women. I'll give that to Anne. And then there's one question about somebody who wants to start saving with Ubra. I'm going to ask Daisy to respond to that. She says, how do you start saving with Ubra? I am leaving it for Daisy because she's the one who knows what Ubra actually is, as opposed to a savings scheme. But before the ladies come on to respond, Dr. Hanifa Sengendo, your hand is up. Please unmute and share your question or your comment. Dr. Hanifa?
Thank you very much. I am Dr. Hanifa Sengendo. I am a mentor, I'm a parenting coach. I've been having a lot of phobia for Ubra. Somehow I thought it was a non-touchable something. But when you talked about the individual saving programs, it has touched me so much because I deal with corporate women. And this is something that we can actually incorporate. Many women think of circles, OG groups, and these things are really, really not working out for us. Lastly is about the health plan that I would want to, to link up with you. So I'll need that contact. Otherwise, I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanifa. And yes, I'm going to right away invite Daisy to throw more light on that. Ubra, how does somebody understand Ubra and the Ubra's role, and how do they start saving for retirement? Daisy, over to you.
Thank you very much. And of course, Dr. Hanifa, for your comments. As you can see, there are people behind Ubra, very touchable, red blood flowing in their veins, black skin, very female. So we're very, and I think Ubra, among as many of the government entities, is one entity that has its doors open to everyone from the public. So I'm sure Dr. Hanifa has spoken for a number of people. We're located at Plot 1, Clement Hill Road, Our phone numbers, if I get it right, Billy, I hope I got it, 0417-304-500. You want to reach Daisy, you can call 5519 at the end there. Lydia is going to share our contacts in the chat. Feel free to always reach out to us. You can always engage with us, even on social media. These days, many people do things at their desks. Ubra, www.ubra.go.ug, and the email is ubra@ubra.go.ug. And the phone numbers and other social media handles are going to be shared in the chat. But to go back onto the issue of the post-retirement medical products, in our research as a regulator, we had to find out what are those things that people spend most money on in retirement. And the things that many of us spend money on in retirement, majorly two things: housing and medical. So what the regulator did is to have a provision where you can use your retirement savings as collateral for a housing loan while you're even still working. And we already have a regulation. Many of the banking institutions have already picked up on that to make sure that we can go to a bank, get a loan to build a house. And because we know that the important part is residential property, we have restricted that securitization to residential property to allow us to all acquire and have homes. So that's one component. Then the component in retirement now is in regards to retirement medical services, because I mean, you're going to hospital. I have a mother who is 70 something, and she has to go to hospital every month once. Even if she's not sick, she has to go to hospital once a month at the very least. So it means that many of us women and men in retirement, we need those medical services. And in retirement, because the other key component is having a cash flow, but sometimes the money is not there. So having these products in place, they allow us to access these medical services using our retirement funds at a negotiated rate. So if you talk to the providers that have those post-retirement medical products in their funds, they will tell you that they have components that allow for different bands of medical insurance, some family, some individual. We also know that if you were to go as an individual and access an insurance company for a medical product, it will be quite expensive. As the older you get, the higher the insurance charges get. But under these products, they have negotiated rates because of the numbers that they carry. Dr. Hanif, I want to share my number in the chat. I want to share it with you privately, and you will be able to call, and I'll get you in touch with some of those providers that already have those products within their funds. Then looking at the saving with Ubra, I want to really make it clear, none of us saves with Ubra. Ubra is a regulator for everyone else who is providing a platform for retirement saving. We do not handle cash or money for people. We do not. But we regulate and oversee those entities, the retirement benefit schemes, the fund managers, the administrators, the custodians, in regards to their services for handling people's retirement funds. So you will not find that you have to come to Ubra and deposit your money, but we shall direct you to a provider that would meet the needs of your retirement aspirations. And currently we have about 65 licensed retirement benefit schemes, but in particular, those that refer to us on the individual side are about 12 of them. And in there, they have, approximately 240 employers, but in addition, about over 5,000 or more and growing of individuals saving as individuals. So those are the products that have come on the market to allow us to save as an individual. I don't need to wait for my HR. I simply contact one of them. I tell them my aspirations. They tell me what value propositions they give, and I start saving with them. And what they do is they regularly report to the regulator. We monitor them to ensure that the people's funds that they're actually holding are actually held prudently, they're invested prudently and paid out to the members as and when they are required and claimed. So that goes into the retirement saving. I hope I've answered the question fully, Lydia. Don't know if I've left out anything.
Oh, you've answered it fully. I think I just liked especially the emphasis that UBRA is a regulator and we just open the doors to so many possibilities. We have so many regulated entities. But ladies, we have to start winding up. There are some members have sent their email addresses. We shall share the recording. Those that have promised to get in touch privately for further discussion, please do. Investment opportunities, and you can talk about investment opportunities. Then we can start looking for our parting shots so that ladies can return and work very hard. So Anne, tell us about the investment opportunities for women, those that are not in corporate settings, those that are just starting. What are the opportunities? Anne, over to you.
Thank you, Lydia. There's a question that had come in of a retiree and was asking what they could do. I feel it's a broad question that for someone to ably or ably guide, there's a number of things that have to be answered, as in what is your lifestyle, how much is coming in, what are the other streams of income that you have, do you have a home, as in the basic utilities, are they taken care of? There's a number of questions that someone has to ask and understand to be able to guide the retiree who's already there. So you just saying, oh, I earn very little, what can I do? I can tell you, take the little to a unit trust, okay? Or put it in a bond. But then what happens? What kind of lifestyle are you living? What happens to you? Do you still have food after you've taken the pension to a unit trust? You get, so it's a bit hard to get full guidance with just a one-liner. That's what I feel. But yeah, that was my comment on that. So going into I think someone asked, what can they invest in? Like earlier mentioned, the panelists, of course, have also mentioned that there are umbrella schemes. And these umbrella schemes that UBRA's licensed, you can start with as low as 2,000. We have a list of these umbrella schemes that have been licensed, so you can subscribe to any, get in touch with them, talk to a number of them so you can know what actually works for you as an individual. Then you can start. They take individuals and they will give you, after saving for a year, there's an annual general meeting that is held. Everything is transparent. They're licensed by UBRA. We supervise them, we inspect them. And at the end of the year, there's an annual general meeting where they declare an interest. So which means if you had 1 million saved a year, maybe there's an interest added of 100 million compared to how the markets were playing or how the markets performed. So you can start with that. Then you also have the informal sector, Mazima. Mazima can also take as low as 2,000. We all still have the contacts. You can still get in touch with us and you can avail the contacts of Mazima and you start. And Mazima has a two-pot system where you can save, like a 30% can cater for your immediate needs. I think after 2 years, you can access the 30%, then the 70% is actually for retirement. So that is something that is flexible and anyone, either formal sector, informal sector, you can take advantage of. Then looking at a corporate person who has some disposable income, you can consider the unit trust, of course, they are trending. Unit trusts are trending. We have the fixed income, the treasury bills, the bonds. I'm in love with the bonds these days, and for the close people who are, for the few close friends that I talk to regarding investments, I've expressed my appreciation of the bonds. And as a woman, what you could opt for, or what the goal you can have is to have a coupon every year. You can do that, invest and have a coupon coming out every year. if you have some money to invest, or if you're planning for retirement, that could be one way. In bonds, there's of course annuity plans. These have been mentioned before. So this ensures, of course, a steady income after retirement through guaranteed and periodic payments. Our friends in the civil service already have that. They'll get a gratuity and then get a pension, I think for 15 years or until death, something like that. So for us in the more of a private, we have to actually think for ourselves and plan for ourselves. So that's why there's annuity plans, and we have insurance companies that we work with that actually offer these annuity plans. So briefly, to anyone as low as 2,000, you can start with an umbrella, you can start with Mazima. There's NSSF voluntary savings products that tailored for the informal sector, informal workers with flexible contribution models, informal saving groups. Of course, these circles are to everyone. These are everywhere. But I think the issue is to start saving, but not just to save in a bank and the bank uses your money. Our issue is save and invest. You have to get that interest declared at the end of the year. Your money has to earn more money, not to just sit on a bank account. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. We're now going to start winding up because our time is fast spent. We hope to organize more of these sessions in the coming weeks or months. As we wind up, I'm going to invite Jennifer. Jennifer, please come and give us your parting shots. We thank you so much for being here this morning. We are aware that we have eaten into your private time, and for you, time means money. So every minute you lose is money lost. But please give us your parting shots. What
Thank you.
special thing should the women take away from here today?
Thank you very much, Lydia. I just wanted to respond to Helen. Helen says that I seem to have said that when you're 50, it's too late. Actually, I said it's never too late. But what we're saying is start now. Whether you're 25, whether you're 50, whether you're 60, start now. Don't start tomorrow, start now, because it's never too late to start saving and preparing for your future. And then, of course, Peli was saying that being at the beach is not godly. Peli, maybe just to explain, when I say being at the beach, I will still be working, but I'll be working smart. What I'm saying is I put in the labor now, but if I'm seated somewhere at the beach and I'm sipping my juice, it doesn't mean I'm not working. That means I've made some smart investments. My money is actually working for me. I can afford to live off my investments. I am still employed. I'm employing myself. The only difference is now I'm not sweating for it because I sweated when I needed to. Because at 60 and 70, I don't see myself running around just like the young people. I would also at that moment want to be allowing the young generation to be taking over from us. Because at some point, truth be told, we want these guys also to have something to do. So we need to leave the table, to leave the space so that these people can actually come. Our children, our grandchildren can come and work. If I didn't leave URA, then I also have a child who wants to get employment. So where would the child work? Some of us need to leave, go into other spaces so that our children and grandchildren can actually come and now bring in some fresh new ideas, because I think we can use their experiences to support them. So my parting shots really are, retirement is not an end. It's really a beginning. Really, maybe the question is, what kind of beginning will it be for you? What kind of beginning do you want when you say, when you leave, when you transition from one part of employment to the next, whether from corporate or self-employment, what kind of retirement do you want to go into, or what do you want to do after? Now, us as women, we have immense potential to create financially secure, fulfilling retirements. But that journey has to start today. No matter where you are, whether you're 25 or 55, it's never too early or too late to take control. And the key things I'll leave you with are 3 of them. Own your financial future. No one else is going to do it for you. Start small, start now, and stay consistent. Like what Daisy was saying, and Anne, even if you say you're going to put aside 10,000, just make sure you stay consistent and don't fall off that track. Even small consistent savings grow over time. I love bonds. Even when I put some of my money into the bonds. I didn't put in a lot, but what that meant is that I needed to be consistent, because 5 years from now, what I put in 5 years ago will be much more than what I have 5 years to come. The other thing, the last thing, is be fearless, but also be smart, because there are also some smart fraudsters out there. Please be smart. Learn about investments. So if you're going to put your money, your 100 million somewhere, please learn about that investment. What is it? You need to take charge of your earnings and challenge also societal norms. I think it's also one of the things that holds us back. The society thinks you, as a woman, you need to be a certain way. You shouldn't own certain things. But I think at some point where we are right now, we need to start challenging those societal norms. And then, just like we nurture our families and careers, let's nurture our future selves. Small, consistent actions today, investing, learning, and planning, will give you the freedom to retire with dignity and joy. Your best years can still be ahead. Remember, the best gift you can give your future self is a peace of mind. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Thank you so very much, Jennifer. Yeah, invest in your future self. That's a big one. Your best years are ahead. Great. Let's get our parting shots from Daisy, and then we'll hear from Anne, and then we'll call it a day. Daisy, parting shots?
Yeah, I think we have really outspoken this particular parting shot, but I won't stop talking about it. Proactive action starts now. Wherever your now is, your now could be 25, your now could be 30, your now could be 50. It starts now. It's never too early, it's never too late for one to actually start saving for retirement. But also, most importantly, many times when you talk about retirement, we think about the financial component. Part of the retirement planning should also be our society living, but ultimately our exit from the world, not just from the workspace. And that ties into having a proper estate plan for your estate when you are not here is all part of retirement planning. And now is the time to do it. Now is the time to plan. Now is the time to get the ball rolling and the wheels in motion. The now is now for everyone at whatever point you are.
Great. Thank you very much, Daisy. Now is now. Okay? Living in the moment. Now means now, no matter where you are. Let's get Anne's parting shots before we close today's session. Anne?
Thank you, Lydia. My parting shot will be still to stress that start where you are. Let me give this a proper example. That if a woman started to save 2,000 today, and you did it per day, in a week you have 14,000. Monthly, it will be 60,000. At the end of the year, it will be 730,000. After 5 years, it will be 3.6 million. But remember, we advocate that this money is invested, not just sitting on the bank account. So, of course, there will be an interest and each year. So, of course, you won't be taking 3.5. Maybe it will be now 5 million. So the issue is start now. But what if you're earning, what if you're saving 5,000? 5,000 in a week is 35,000. In a month is 150, yes. In a year, that's 1.8 million. And in 5 years, that's 9 million. Plus your interest, it will be way more than just the 9 million. Let's say 10,000. The corporate lady, you can afford 10,000, right? Okay, in a week, that's 70,000. Monthly, 300,000. Annually, that's 3.6. In 5 years, you have 18 million. I'm not adding the interest. So just to stress that it's never too late to take control of your financial future, whether it's just starting to save or planning for retirement. So every step you take today will make a big difference tomorrow. Please start today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Daisy. Thank you very much, Annette. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for the sharing we had this morning. I want, in a very special way, to say thank you to the gentlemen that tuned in. This was fronted as a women's session, but I can see that we had several gentlemen on the call: Michael, Walter, Sydney, Frank, Davis, David. You are wonderful men. Please take the message back to the women and assure them we can. Women can overcome all the barriers, all the cultural, professional, social, whatever barriers, and aspire to a dignified retirement. We're going to share this presentation on the email. We believe that you shared your emails when you are registering so that you can revise, so to say. So thank you everybody who participated. Thank you for the questions. They triggered great insights. Thank you for being here up to the end. It was a great show. My name is Lydia Mirembe. I am not a robot. I am right here. Forgive the lighting behind, but we're not dealing with one of Elon Musk's good things. So have a lovely day. God bless you, and we'll see you soon in our next monthly webinar. That's next month. Have a very nice day.
Thank you, Lydia, and everyone who logged
Thank
in.
you, Lydia and the ladies, and everyone who shared the invite to their networks. Thank you.
And the gents.
The gentlemen especially, even Haji. Haji, thank you so much for being here. Haji is the Chief Manager, Corporate Affairs, and I saw him sending a comment, actually. We really appreciate. Thank you, David R. Thank you, Haman Senkobuge. Thank you to all the gentlemen. Be blessed, take care, and don't forget to save something for your retirement. The best years are ahead, as we have been told. All right, see you next time.
Thank you, Lydia.